Today on our story, we're featuring Professor John Henry Clark. Professor Clark was born in Union Springs, Alabama in 1915. He was a noted scholar and author of many books. He wrote many books on the Africans in the diaspora and African American studies. He went to multiple universities. He taught at Hunter College. He was an influencer. I really didn't know much about him until the 80s and around the time he passed. And he was a influencer to the generation of people that taught me. So I never got a chance to go to any of his lectures or anything. But soon as he died in the late 80s, I think it was around 88 or 89, he passed. There was a intellectual boom among the Black community. And many people, many authors and scholars were doing lectures. And many people came to Chicago and the Midwest and Milwaukee. I started learning and reading about Dr. Clark, Professor Clark, in the early 90s. He influenced people like Bobby Hemmett, Phil Valentine, Runoko Rashidi. A lot of people sat at his feet to learn. He was a very, very influential person and long-winded, very long-winded. I was on the internet today and I was looking, and I had no idea he had written all those books, you know. He came around right after the Harlem Renaissance, but he knew a lot of those people. He met W.E.B. Du Bois. In fact, when you sit down and listen to his, he has a lot of lectures online. And when you listen to him, he knew all of those people, from W.B. Du Bois to Lena Horne. He knew a whole array. Whatever went on in Harlem, he was there, you know. And so, Professor Clark, we want to take our hats off to you, and we want the young generation to take a minute and pick up a book and, you know, go through some of the pages, because I was influenced by people like Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine and Runoko Rashidi, Ashra Kwesi, all these people, Dr. Ben, all these people came to Chicago and Milwaukee and the Midwest, and we would pay for them to come here. We put them up in a hotel for a night, and they'd be gone in 8 hours to St. Louis or somewhere. You know, it was like a merry-go-round of, you know, scholars just, you know, passing through. You know, I met a lot of scholars, you know, that, but I didn't have the chance to meet Professor Clark before he died. And I understand that, you know, just listening to some of his lectures, he is very funny. He's a very expressive person and very influential. So if you're interested in learning about the history of especially Black people during the Harlem Renaissance in the early 20th century, in the early 20th century, he knew all those people. He was talking about Cannonball Attlee and all of, man, I just couldn't believe he knew all of them folks. He's, you know, he's talking about the jazz clubs, and then he started talking about the people he met, and, you know, and, you know, he knew people from the Caribbeans all the way over to Africa. He would always talk about how he'd been to Africa, been through the Caribbeans, and how, you know, the connection we should have with our people. So much love to Dr. Ben. He's with the ancestors now. And much love to a professor and Dr. Ben too, because him and Dr. Ben were debaters. But Professor Clark and Dr. Ben debated each other. But they're both in the ancestral realm now. I'm going to take my hat off to Professor Clark today and Dr. Ben tomorrow. I'm going to do a lecture on Dr. Ben tomorrow. But if you want to know more about Professor Clark's books, you can find them at Amazon.com, and you can find them at http://african.library.cornell.edu/. So young people, take a time when you're online and punch in that name, Dr. Henry Clark or Professor Henry Clark. All right. Thanks for spending some time with me today on our story, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.